So if you've seen the direction I'm taking the channel in, I have been going in more of this direction of using philosophy as a way to live a better life and to live what I imagine most of my viewers would consider an ideal life. Now, if you do recall from what I've said, I don't just consider actual philosophy to be a part of philosophy. I consider all knowledge to be a part of this. This includes knowledge about anything you want to pursue. That includes stuff like, for example, psychology, which is mostly what we're going to be discussing in this video. So first, before we actually start, I want you to sit and think about what your ideal life looks like. Think about the kind of things that you do, the things that make you happy, the things that you still strive for in that point in time. I know I can see it. And hopefully you can see something very clear that you want to achieve in your life. So, what does this have to do with anything, and where does psychology play into this? Well, you've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a very popular idea. It's even taught in high school classes nowadays and whatnot. So it's a very well-known concept that a lot of people are familiar with. However, a lot of people are kind of familiar with it on kind of this medium level where they kind of understand that it's about life goals and whatnot, and that, self-actualization is a thing that you might want to go to. However, there's more to it than that. But first, I should actually explain what the hierarchy of needs is. So, for those who don't know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is essentially this little pyramid here. There are some variations of it, but you have the lower level needs like, say, sleeping, eating, breathing, whatnot, at the very bottom. And as you go up, you go into higher level needs that aren't as focused on your survival, and it goes from essentially surviving to thriving. You start thinking about your basic needs, you start thinking about safety and whatnot, you start thinking about family and belonging and relationships. Then it gets to the higher level thoughts, and you ultimately get to self-actualization, or you can also call it transcendence, because you've transcended all the other needs and you're just kind of living your life where you are achieving your purpose, whatever that might be for you, and you're achieving higher level goals for yourself. Now, like I said, a lot of people think of this as kind of a way to look at your life, kind of go for self-actualization, try for that. But I want to say that self-actualization applies on multiple levels. The one that was the most interesting to me is that just about every single thought you have can be categorized in the hierarchy of needs. If that's not an interesting concept to you, maybe I should read it again. Almost every single thought you have can be placed on the hierarchy of needs. If you have the thought of, I'm hungry, that's a lower level one. If you have the thought of, I want to do this with my life, I want to have this kind of purpose and do this kind of thing, that's clearly a higher level. And then obviously it does apply to more of the macro scale as well. Self-actualization is the goal. And as a whole, your life can be at one level overall. As your life overall goes to a higher level, the lower level problems, the lower level thoughts that you have are a lot easier to resolve. When you're at a transcendent level, a self-actualized level, you might still feel hungry, and that is a lower level need. However, because you're self-actualized, that's a much easier need to fulfill versus you're in danger and you're hungry and you don't know where you're going to find your next meal. And some might say, well, I still have higher level desires. Why should I even bother focusing on the lower ones? And that's because while you can have thoughts that are of a self-actualized nature, for example, you can't really begin to work on those desires, those needs, until the lower ones have been met. You can't start thinking about your place in your relationships and in society if you need to figure out where your next meal is coming from or where the closest source of water is. Yes, you will have higher and lower level desires and needs, but you can only truly start to work on the higher ones once you've met all the other ones. You can only start to work on the higher level needs in a true way, actually work towards them, not just thinking about them, but working towards them once you've already fulfilled all the other needs before. You may have the thought that you might want to take your life in some direction, but let's say that you decide that the purpose of your life is to do some kind of artistic thing. But if you're not making any money to support that lifestyle, obviously money is a much more important thing, and it is a lower level need. Your life overall requires the lower level needs to be fulfilled. And that's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just how it is. You should be working to fulfill the lower level needs and get to self-actualization. Whatever level you're on, you should be focused on trying to fulfill those needs. There's nothing to be ashamed of with it. There's nothing bad about it. It just is what it is. Because again, even random thoughts can be about different levels of needs. You're still going to get hungry, right? So if you're self-actualized, you're still going to get thoughts of being hungry at some point. There's nothing wrong with having to fulfill a lower level need. Really quickly here, think about what you need right now. I don't mean in your life overall or this period of your life. I mean, as you are watching this video, what are you thinking about right now? Where does it lie on the hierarchy of needs? Are you thinking about how you should aim for self-actualization? Well, that's obviously a self-actualizing need. Are you thinking about dinner? Well, that's a physiological need. That's lower on the hierarchy. So I guess as a way to implement this into your life, with any legitimate thoughts, not just the random ones that pop into your head, obviously, both any legitimate thought that is externally driven and is about a goal, essentially. Ask yourself what level that need is. Next, you have to determine if this need is representative of your life as a whole, or if it's just more of an outlier. Again, if you're self-actualized, thinking about being hungry does not mean that your life as a whole is still on that physiological level. It's an outlier, essentially. Needing to use the bathroom does not mean that your life is on that physiological level. So if a thought is too high of a need for your life as a whole right now, determine what's actually stopping you from working on that higher level. If that thought is about respect and you can't actually work towards that, why is that? Is there some kind of belonging issue that you might have? Are you unsatisfied in your relationships right now? What's actually stopping you from working on the higher level need? And if a thought is lower on the hierarchy of needs compared to your general life, that most likely means that you can fulfill it pretty quickly. Again, if you're self-actualized, the feeling of being hungry can be resolved pretty easily. So I guess to cap this video off, it's kind of a short one and it's a little weird, but I'll probably expand on this more. So I guess all I really have to say is, I guess tell me what you think of it. And if someone wants to make a Discord server or something like that, to actually I would love to do that. But I'd probably need say 100 people to actually be willing to be in there to actually justify making it. So there you go. Tell your dogs to die.